Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Welcome to the pod where we chat, argue, and wax poetic about the movies that we love, hate, or that are simply worth talking about. All stories have something to say, and we love trying to analyze what they capture. Welcome to the Chatter After. How are you guys doing today? My name is Mike. Today, we are talking Black Panther. Now, this episode's a little different. We originally, it was me and three of my greatest friends talking about the film, Black Panther. But technology got in the way, kind of ruined the first half of this episode. So we were able to pivot, shift the conversation a little bit. We're talking Wakanda Forever. We're talking recast T'Challa, the entire idea of replacing Chadwick Boseman in the role of T'Challa. How they can go about it, or if they even should go about it, that's a fun discussion that we had as well. So yeah, while we're not necessarily talking about the film Black Panther itself in its entirety, we are still having a fun time talking about this world that Ryan Coogler and Kevin Feige and everybody at Marvel was able to build. So I hope you guys enjoy that. With that said, let's join the conversation already in progress. This is Black Panther. Christian.
Yeah.
What are your overall thoughts on Black Panther?
I thought it was perfectly splendid. But overall, I really do enjoy this movie. It's one of my favorite Marvel movies of all time. And it was the fact that it caught the Academy Awards attention for a nomination of Best Picture really says a lot, because we all know that the Oscars absolutely loves horror movies and superhero movies all the same, you know. But overall, it really is something special because it brings more representation into the superhero space for Blacks or African Americans, however you want to categorize us. But it's just one of those special movies where, you know, finally, you know, you have like Black kids at Halloween who can actually just dress up. They have something else to dress up as, instead of someone saying, oh, well, you can't dress up as, you know, Frodo or whatever. There's no black hobbits. Well, we beg to differ now. But it's just one of those important films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe where Ryan Coogler just did a bang-up job. And I don't think anyone realized how well it was going to perform, considering it brought over like $1 billion in the box office. And it was just one of those spectacle movies. And I feel like we haven't really had that in a while, but I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned its reach and appeal too, right? One of the things I love about this movie is that it made being Black mainstream, right? We had a movie that was unequivocally set in Africa with a Black cast, with a Black director, and it was able to make $1 billion. And I think that's because it's a celebration of African culture, right? We're seeing the effects of gang and gun violence in a character like Eric Killmonger, but that's not necessarily the driving force of the film. And I think that is a cultural reset, right? We wouldn't get a movie like The Woman King if it wasn't for Black Panther kind of breaking that glass ceiling and saying, hey, we can make movies, blockbusters, any genre, any story you want to. And I think Black Panther, Ryan Coogler's work, along with Jordan Peele's work, really helped usher in a new era of Black filmmakers. And I'm excited to see that evolution and progression of it. Elliott, what were your thoughts on Black Panther?
Look, I just want to kind of tail on to just that, what you're saying there about the representation, because, you know, I think what really helped in that watershed moment was, you're right, it kind of reframed Hollywood. Sort of, it is a Hollywood film, and it kind of took a reframing on how we view countries in Africa, because a lot of the time when we see it, and we see it with South American countries as well, that whenever a Hollywood action film, for example, goes over there, it's always in this sepia tone, and there's dust everywhere, and everything's poor and decrepit. And it's like, that's not what these continents are now. You know, these continents have capital cities where there is wealth, and there are people making so much money. You know, you talk about people in Nigeria who come over to the UK, grab their education, and then go back to Nigeria and build companies there and make millions of whatever their currency is, and change lives within their country. And you just like, and then you look at a film like Black Panther, where essentially Wakanda does that. They got this vast wealth and this incredible technology, and they have they've established this incredibly powerful country. Mm-hmm. Now we end with that film in which they're reaching out to help people in other countries around the world. And I think that is such a great reflection of what a lot of modern day African countries do. It became that watershed moment, and it did change the game on representation. And I really hope that Wakanda Forever can push that forward as well.
Yeah, for sure. Leo, any thoughts on Black Panther, representation, anything? Go.
Oh, very well said, gentlemen. Very well said. This did really open up a lot of doors for the future. And I'm also excited to see it. What else it really did is it also, while it did open up doors, it also really self-contained itself within the MCU. I forget that this is a Marvel movie sometimes. Like, honestly, when I'm watching Black Panther, I get so lost and so into the story that I forget. Oh, yeah, like, last movie, like, Cap and Iron Man were fighting, and, like, I forget about the wider MCU because it's just such a well-told and placed story that I forget about, like, the rest of Marvel while watching the story. These conflicts are so integral. They're so integral to not only the film, but just to the Black community, and what Killmonger has to say about resources and not having those things really just speaks to me on a deeper level than most Marvel movies do. So Coogler, seriously, applause on that too, for just reeling us in and giving us these relatable experiences on screen too, and not just focusing on the Marvel mythos, but bringing real life into screen here and making it very believable and really sinking us into this world of Wakanda. It's so easy to get lost in this and lost in the conflict because we can relate. So love it, and I'm excited for the future. Can't wait for Wakanda Forever, baby. Like that, I feel like that's gonna set us even higher. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it not feeling like a Marvel movie, because I think that's why I love Black Panther so much, right? Is that it is unequivocally a superhero film, but it does something I wish the Thor films did a little bit better, right? It takes us to a new world within the Marvel universe. Yeah. Wakanda is distinctly its own thing outside of New York that we're used to in most Marvel stories. And Christian mentioned this when the recording wasn't working, but the world building, right, that this film was able to do, making Wakanda, making the lore of this world, we're introduced to so much. We're introduced to vibranium and how it actually works. We're introduced to battle rhinos, and we just accept it. And it's like, there's so much in Wakanda, and it's like, I want to know more. I can't wait to see more. And they established so much in this 2-hour film. It's amazing. But yeah, looking forward to the future. As you guys know, as you're listening to this, Wakanda Forever will be hitting theaters in a matter of days, maybe a matter of a couple weeks, depending on when this actually drops. But I can't freaking wait for that film. Elliott, you mentioned something earlier. Again, audience couldn't actually hear it, about the recast T'Challa movement and the power behind the character of King T'Challa, the Black Panther. We know Marvel made the decision to not recast Chadwick Boseman and to move on with anointing a new Black Panther within this new film. Like, what are your thoughts on that entire ordeal of how they should handle the franchise moving forward with the new Black Panther?
Yeah. Firstly, in support of Wakanda Forever and their decision, I think it's what we need to understand is that these actors and creatives, they didn't just lose a colleague. They clearly lost someone who was a friend, a brother, someone that meant a lot to them. And it was only 2 years ago. The next film was out only 2 years later. I think it's perfectly fine and perfectly reasonable that they didn't want to do that. They weren't ready. Yeah. However you want to look at it, they weren't ready. Okay. And so we just kind of have to accept that was their decision. But going forward, I honestly can't see a reason why. It depends on how Wakanda Forever plays out. That's yet to be seen. We don't know. We haven't seen the film yet. I think T'Challa on this rewatch, and I said at the top of the recording, T'Challa just feels like such an important character to the MCU. I really do feel that had Chadwick Boseman still been alive, that T'Challa, not the Black Panther, but T'Challa would have been an integral part of the Avengers, integral part of the MCU, one of their leaders, up there to the likes of Iron Man and Captain America and Thor. I really feel like he would have been, I kind of see it as being him, potentially Captain Marvel and Spider-Man were probably going to be the next big three. Were my picks, at least, anyway. Yeah. And especially now that we are in the multiversal saga, Kevin Feige himself has labeled it as such. There's a way in. There's a way to do it now that means we're not changing Chadwick's T'Challa. Chadwick's T'Challa will always be Chadwick's T'Challa. Now we can bring in a T'Challa that is someone else's T'Challa, but can still be integral and important to the MCU. And it really is just a case of, you can write into existence what you want, whatever you want.
Right.
They can write the importance. They want to make T'Challa important. They want to make T'Challa important. Look, if they decide after Wakanda Forever that Shuri is the Black Panther, she is the Queen of Wakanda, and she is the one that is important, or Nakia, or Okoye, whoever, or M'Baku, fine. Do you know what? We've got to get behind that. But personally, I just feel that T'Challa was going to be that guy. That T'Challa can be that guy. He could run at it, is my personal opinion. And I think that I think that Wakanda Forever can be used as that honoring to Chadwick, and then moving forward, we can find a way to grow the legacy of T'Challa.
Yeah, well said. I believe Kevin Feige did say that moving forward, that was the plan, right? For Black Panther to be the Iron Man of the MCU going forward. So and like a lot of people have issue with the direction and the focus of Phase 4, and that's something I don't think a lot of people take into account either, is that the guy is gone and they have to call an audible, in football terms, and try and change the play and continue moving forward. Like, I honestly don't understand why they couldn't delay Black Panther 2. I'm not even saying recast T'Challa in that movie. I just feel like the cast and crew, like, they are in tears on stage at Comic-Con. It's like they clearly probably should have had an extra year to kind of heal and move on from that incredible, heartbreaking experience in the middle of a global pandemic. That's a lot to ask of anyone. But Christian, like, what are your thoughts on how they approach the franchise moving forward, and specifically King T'Challa?
I think Elliott gave a really good example of, because at first I was like, okay, I totally understand, like Elliott said, they were clearly not ready to move on and just recast like Chadwick. Like, okay, unfortunately we had, the original actor pass away, so now we have to cast someone new. I understand people's worry about like, oh, well, there's so much more story they can tell with T'Challa, especially him being married to Storm and so many other avenues they could take with that character. But I think, like Elliott said, that when Kevin Feige was saying, this is the multiverse, I think that at the right time, when they're ready, they can introduce a new T'Challa from a different universe. Or multiverse, I guess you could say. But for Wakanda Forever, I'm very excited to see how everything plays out, because we know that they have rewritten the script a few times. I didn't even think it was going to come out this year. I thought it was going to be delayed because we didn't hear anything about it for such a long time. Yeah. And then, they surprised us with a trailer during San Diego Comic-Con this year in 2022. And I've watched that trailer like 15 times. I'm so excited for Namor, and it still ties into what happened, like that small little scene in Avengers Endgame where it was Captain Marvel and Okoye, and they're like, oh, there's these earthquakes happening underneath like the sea, like over by Wakanda. They're like, how do we handle it? And Okoye is like, well, we handle it by not handling it, because they know what's down there. And they're like, we're not messing with any of that. But I'm very excited for Wakanda Forever. I think it's going to be the spectacle of the year. I mean, I know Avatar 2 is coming out. It's just, Disney giving themselves metal all over again for Avatar 2, but
hey, don't forget
I
the
am
biggest
very
movie
excited
of the year. One Piece Red.
Oh.
I thought he was going to say Black Adam for a second
Peak
there.
fiction.
Peak
I
fiction.
thought he was going to say, "Don't worry, darling."
Oh man.
But I'm just very interested to see how, because we don't know how T'Challa within the MCU passes away, so I'm interested to see how they explain that and how this country moves forward. Because as we see in the trailers, it looks like Wakanda's in some really big trouble, and I'm interested to see how they're able to close out Phase 4, because that is supposed to be the end of Phase 4 for Wakanda Forever. But it just looks like another spectacle, and I'm like, I want to know everything. I just want to sit there and just soak it all in. But
literally, it's got all the potential to. I feel it's got all the potential to hit 2 billion if it is. If it does serve.
So.
If it does serve, I really it could be up there with No Way Home in Phase 4.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm touching
it's
I'm
gonna
touching
be
wood.
that emotional. I'm ready to cry.
Yeah, I think that's the thing,
multiple
right?
times.
It's we talked about the world building and everything that the movie Black Panther meant to not just the Black community but the entire world at large, and seeing it not only be a celebration of the life of Chadwick Boseman but a celebration of the world of Wakanda, I think is going to make it a massive film. The only reason I think 2 billion might be out of reach is because Avatar opens up right after, which is like Disney.
We all know
push that thing
the true
in February.
Avatar.
Right? Like, just give us some breathing room, man.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's a bit bizarre. But Leo, what are your thoughts, man, on Chadwick as T'Challa, recasting the character, or just anything in general regarding the sequel?
I think when it first happened, like the unfortunate death of Chadwick Boseman, I think I immediately definitely didn't want to have the conversation. I was like, no, like we have to keep pressing forward and honor his memory. But rewatching the movie and having had some time now to really think about it, I think that character means a lot to the Black community. It also means a lot to young Black men. And I think that Chadwick and T'Challa are both two symbols, and at the same time together, it's two symbols in the Black community of positive Black male role models. Yeah. And so the character of T'Challa is so important for that reason, because before we were talking about Blade, and it's like, okay, well, the Blade movie, you can't really be 5 years old watching that.
Right.
And also it's the same with Spawn. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Seriously.
Don't even get me started about that and how long it's taken with that. But it's the same with Spawn. It's the same with previous Black heroes. That was a symbol for the Black community right there. And so I do think that there's an opening with the multiverse to usher in somebody like that, to usher in another actor to potentially play T'Challa, because it's heartbreaking to think the impact and how he would be part of the Avengers. I kind of thought of the big three as T'Challa, Captain Marvel, and Reed Richards, but I just would have loved to have T'Challa out on that pedestal, it leading the way and leading the charge. So I think it would be a pretty good idea to maybe reapproach it, maybe not in Wakanda Forever, but down the line, reapproach bringing T'Challa back in the MCU. I think that would be a good move. Wakanda Forever. Look, I'm with y'all. Push Avatar back. Give us some breathing room, some room to stretch the legs, please. Because we would love a $2 billion Black Panther film. Because it looks so good, and we're back in Wakanda, and I'm with you, Christian. I'm curious to see what they do with T'Challa, like where they go with that character. How did he pass away in the movie? Because I do feel that there's going to be some great dedication to Chadwick in this movie. And so I am curious to see where they go with it. I think $1 billion it could possibly clear.
Easy.
Yeah, two's a little
question.
Yeah, I think 2, maybe not, but like $1 billion, I think we're in for another wonderful box office run from Wakanda. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah,
It's a fascinating topic of conversation, and again, just knowing how much this franchise means to people. I'm wondering, how does Ryan Coogler and the writing team approach this film, right? Especially knowing how long it takes to make a movie and how recent Chadwick's passing was. How big of a departure is this from the original vision for Black Panther 2? Like, Namor and all that stuff, I'm sure stays the same. And I'm pretty sure Coogler even said that Namor is the perfect foil for T'Challa, but T'Challa's not there. So how do you kind of pivot that story to another character? But I'm glad, Elliott, you mentioned the multiverse, right, as a way to bring in a Black Panther, because DC analogy, you guys know Power Girl is just Supergirl from another Earth. Yep. They can easily just say, yeah, that world is getting destroyed. He teleported here. The end. That would be a whole new conflict for this cast of characters, too. Having to adjust to T'Challa being a completely different person. And if they approach it that way, I really want them to make T'Challa not be Chad's T'Challa, and that actor really make it their own and bring a little something different to the character, just to make sure everybody's clear. This is a different T'Challa entirely. Like, don't make him evil or anything crazy like that, but, he maybe has a little more edge to him, or, he's maybe a little more comedic.
Maybe like a T'Challa that is gearing us more towards Secret Wars, maybe, because, Multiverse of Madness at the end already mentioned incursion, so could it be a T'Challa that has survived an incursion, if we're going to link to the bigger picture, there's something in there. But I mean, I really do feel T'Challa needs to come back, because other things I kind of remembered as we're talking here, you look at Endgame and the portal scene, it was the first person that walked out, it was T'Challa.
Yeah.
You look at
bonkers.
Yeah, exactly.
Bonkers.
You look at the series What If, and how important, like how prominent Star-Lord T'Challa was in there. Like, no, it's I mean, I think he's still a very important character to Marvel and the MCU. So
for sure.
There's scope for it. And I personally would love to see a T'Challa in there. Rewatching Black Panther this morning, I was like, I freaking love this character. I really do.
He's such a great, and I think that's what really makes Black Panther stand out, right? He's got the heart of Steve Rogers and the tech of Iron Man. And so it's like, he's the perfect blend of the previous, 3 phase leaders, which makes it the perfect evolution of, like, I can totally see the MCU being Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Spider-Man, new Captain. Can you imagine a world where it was Black Panther and Sam Wilson's Captain America ushering in the new phases of the MCU?
I was actually just thinking that, like, as we were talking, I was like, who would be, I guess for me, like the big three, if, Chadwick,
there we go,
like,
Cap.
That was,
there it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to figure out, now that, because we've all seen, or we've all had this vision, like, like we can totally see T'Challa like being like one of the Avengers leaders, but it's like, what happens now? Like, I mean, we're also getting Ironheart and Wakanda Forever as well, which I'm very excited for, because I absolutely love Iron Man, so I love that she's kind of taking up after him. But it's I don't know, it's a big mystery. I'm just so curious to see how it all plays out. That's the one thing I want to know. Like, okay, you guys have had some time with this, a lot of rewrites, let's just see what you have, and just kind of take it all in.
If there's,
I think whatever it is, Coogler's on it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If there's one person I trust, it's Ryan Coogler.
I think
literally, right?
And Kevin knows this. Kevin Feige knows this. He's like, there can be nobody else that can.
Well, literally, and this is what made Black Panther so great, because it definitely felt at a time where Feige was happy to allow the filmmakers to just stretch their wings, and it really felt, especially the way that I've heard Feige talk about Black Panther in his Hollywood Reporter roundtable, like the way he spoke about it there, like, I think he really understood how important and how big that film was going to be, or at least its potential, and so he allowed that to happen. It sounds weird to say he allowed that to happen, but he assembled the people to make that happen, I suppose is what I should say. And that's a better way of putting it.
Yeah. Especially remembering the Marvel Universe and how Ike Perlmutter just threw water on every diverse idea that Feige has pitched to him. It's like, how did Guardians of the Galaxy, love the movie, this is not hate on Guardians of the Galaxy, but how did they think that was an easier idea than Black Panther? That's the thing where it's like, yeah, I'm so glad Kevin Feige has complete creative control over the Marvel.
Yeah, seriously. I mean,
get Ike up out of here, man.
He loves these characters. Kevin loves these characters as much as anyone else, and I mean, he's even admitted, I feel like he has called Marvel out on a few things. He wishes a few things will be different, but I'm just happy that he's just one of those few creatives or producers that, when it comes to a lot of these movies, like Elliott was saying, it's you can see where the direction was going, but the studio kind of like, interferes, like, oh, we can't have that, we got to do this. And Kevin understands the importance of creative control. Like sometimes, creative decisions can be a bad thing. Looking at you, episode, what was it, 7 of House of the Dragon, couldn't see a darn thing. They're like, oh, well, it's creative decision. I'm like, well, let's okay. Yeah. I understand that, but I'm staring at a blank screen. That's all I gotta say. But I'm very excited that Kevin was like he put faith in the original, and it seems that he is putting faith in Wakanda Forever, because you can kind of just see it on his face when they played the Wakanda Forever trailer during San Diego Comic-Con. It's probably his like favorite project the entire year, to be honest.
Oh, the fact that they gave it such a spotlight at San Diego, do you know what I mean? Like, they made all these announcements, and then Leo, you were there, you were just saying how it was just another level once they introduced Wakanda Forever. Like,
so the whole presentation happened, and it kind of seemed like they were going to end. Like, it was like, they only had an hour booked. So I was like, oh, then we're at the end of this hour. Me and Dwayne from Cinemania World were looking at each other like, well, are they going to do Black Panther? Like, what's going to happen? The lights completely go black, and they have this man come out singing. And then he sings, he walks up to the stage, there's a whole drum circle going on for about 5-6 minutes. Coogler comes out, talks, the whole cast comes out and talks, it goes black again. Everybody's like, what's going on? The trailer plays, and it's just like, damn, it's like we were there for a movie premiere. It was beautiful. Beautiful. I mean, to be able to just be in that room with the cast and everybody's getting emotional, and it was unreal, really. I mean, I think just seeing that gave me all the hope that I could ever really wish for. I think I have so much hope and so much confidence in this film now, after seeing how big and grandiose they made that. Like, it just, they have confidence. They have confidence. They have faith. And now I do too.
Yeah. It's one of those situations where you have to take it in, right? Like, I wasn't there, but I saw your tweets. I saw the clips. I saw everything. And it's like, this is not just a movie. This is not just a movie franchise.
Right?
Black Panther is a cultural event, one, but also you just see how much it means to so many people. And that's why recasting T'Challa eventually, not right away, I get it, but like returning to that world, that character has so many other stories to tell. I totally understand somebody taking that position. And I also love the idea of this movie, though, because Chadwick was taken from us far too soon. And like, that's just life. Life sucks sometimes. And if this movie handles that well, it can teach that same message, right? Like, a hero, an icon was ripped away from us suddenly. And Black Panther, Wakanda Forever can show that, but also show how you move on, how you progress, how you keep that legacy alive. And that's why I can see both sides of the argument, because T'Challa stood for so much. Chadwick stood for so much. But we also need to know how to move on and how to embody what they stood for. Great thing about comic books is nobody ever stays gone. So you can always go back. Like, there's Dragon Ball Z rules here when it comes to comic books. So,
For real.
Your wish has been granted.
Exactly. 3 years from now, we might see T'Challa again. That's great.
If somehow Palpatine can return, I'm pretty sure T'Challa can return.
Somehow.
I'm still mad at that movie, man. I'm sorry.
Let's not start there. Let's not start there.
It has been a fun conversation. Unfortunately, the listeners missed half of it, but we had fun. Elliott, thanks for joining us, man. Where can people find you? What are you up to?
Yes, you can find me at Hakuna MaChatter on YouTube and Twitter, and I am on Instagram, but I'm mostly active on Twitter should you wish to continue the conversation. By the time that this video is uploaded, I should actually have a little video on The Woman King. Obviously, there was a lot of controversy about its historical accuracy or inaccuracy, and so I'm going to be diving into that a little bit and just talking about, well, asking the question of, does it really matter and what's more important? So, yeah, come along if you want to see my thoughts on that. And it is UK Black History Month at the moment. So if any UK viewers are watching, there should also be a little video about which streaming services you guys can go to pick up some Black History Month content, specifically UK-based stuff. So not to say that US and international viewers can't watch, please do. But some of the streamers might not be available in your regions, so just be aware of that.
Awesome. Guys, make sure you check out Elliott's channel. He has tons of videos on diversity in Hollywood. It's a fun time over there at Hakuna MaChatter. Leo, my dude, thanks for stopping by again, man. It's been awesome talking to you.
Well, thanks for having me back, bro. It's been great talking Black Panther. My channel's actually on a temporary hiatus for a couple weeks, so I will be out. But by the time this video comes out, I have some Black Panther content up. So come on over to Geekly Goods, guys. Search it up on YouTube, and you'll see 2Gs. That's me. Come on over. Let's talk some geek. By November, we'll be back up and revving those engines and back going. So if this video's dropping in November, you'll see me there. But thanks a lot for having me, Mike. Appreciate it.
Thanks for stopping by. Geekly Goods, fantastic channel. Leo's great. Always grinding. Thank God he's taking a break for once. Christian, thanks for stopping by, man. Film Optix is great. What do you guys coming up down there?
I just want to thank you again for having us on to talk about this. I feel like we do need to start having these conversations when it comes to Black Panther. And some conversations are tougher to have than others, but it's all necessary at the end of the day. Like you guys said, we have to learn how to honor those who have left this world, but also move on within a timely fashion. But for our podcast, you can find us on all audio podcast platforms, Film Optix. That is Optix with an X, over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it. As of this recording, I think we'll be done with like our House of the Dragon coverage, as well as like Halloween Kills. We've been really focusing on She-Hulk and House of the Dragon these past few weeks. And also, if you're in the mood for anything like spooky, since we are recording this during spooky season, you can check out the Midnight Club review, which is spoiler free. And if you want to hear these gentlemen's amazing voices, we just finished our Avatar: The Last Airbender series revisited, going through book 1, 2, and 3 respectively. Definitely give that a check out, because they made some amazing analytic decisions with these gentlemen right here. So yeah, just follow us at Film Optix. Again, that's Optix with an X on Twitter and Instagram. And thank you again, Michael, for having us on.
What a tribe.
Exactly. I'm glad you mentioned that, because the four of us talked about Avatar. It was a blast. YouTube audience, I know you love Avatar. Those are the best videos on the channel. They always get the most views. Go check out Film Optix, because I know you're going to love it. It's all their stuff's going to be linked in the description down below. If you're listening audio only, again, check out Geekly Goods, Hakuna MaChatter on YouTube. Check out Film Optix on your audio platform of choice. You can catch the chatter after every other week, talking movies. This is a different conversation. We didn't really get into the movie Black Panther and the part you guys can actually hear. So it's a bit different, but again, normally we have movie content here all the time. We will catch you guys for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. It's going to be an awesome time. I can't wait for that movie. Until next time, take care. I love how everyone did the Wakanda Forever. Christian just
Christian, straight on the soundbox, man. Funny man.
I was gonna do the NFL jab thing. I'm like, no, that's too soon.